Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marco Mallillin, and if you're new here, I am an Ateneo graduate, BS Biology from Ateneo. I just repeated what I said. So in this video, I will be doing a brand new segment that I would like to call one-line book reviews, which is pretty simple. I just review a book with one line, but then I'm gonna describe the book in one line as well. So it's pretty much 2 lines. But then the review is one. Anyway, I'm just gonna go ahead and start off with the 20 books. So I categorized all the books into 2 different categories. The first is about productivity, and the second is about finance and investing. Like I said before, I have a background with finance because I took a minor in management. I also took up VP for finance positions, so I find that topic really interesting. I want to start off with the category of productivity. When it comes to my book reviews, I don't think I am the most credible source because I give a lot of these books 5s. So the first book on the list is called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I give it a 4.5 books out of 5. I'm giving numerical scores, by the way. I like this because he draws from experience with his family, with his clients, with his life, because it concretizes the habits that he mentions throughout the book. My main takeaway from this book is that it taught me to be more proactive with my life. So he talks about the difference between being proactive and reactive. So this is where I got my proactivity from. So the second book is called Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. I give it a 4 out of 5. It's a really good book if you're starting out and looking for a good productivity framework to base off of. One main takeaway I have is that he talks about a 2-minute rule, which basically means that if you think that something takes only 2 minutes to do it right now, because it's gonna make your life way easier. Third book on the list is called the 80-20 Principle, and I only gave it a 3 out of 5 books. I think the main point that the book is trying to tell you is that 20% of what you do actually produces 80% of the results. And my gripe with the book, that's why I gave it a 3, is the fact that he just repeats this throughout different scenarios, and it was just dragging. I actually didn't finish a couple chapters because I knew that it was going to be just about that. Fourth book on the list is called Make It Stick, and I gave it 5 books out of 5. I like the way it presents the ideas, concepts, and the research as it cites because they help you understand what the point they are trying to make. Key takeaway I have from this book was the fact that cramming will work from the short term, but then eventually you'll forget about it. So long-term study habits will work far better. Fifth book on the list is called Deep Work. 5 books out of 5, one of my favorite books out of this whole list. I'll be honest, it was kind of a hard read because of how deep he tries to go with the ideas and the concepts, but when I powered through the book, in the end, it was all worth it. And one main takeaway I have from this is the fact that he talks about how human willpower is only finite. So as much as possible, you would want to make things routine and habit so you don't use willpower anymore when it comes to your work. Sixth book on this list is called A Mind for Numbers. I gave this another 5 out of 5 books. I love the way that the book includes activities and questions at the end of the chapters so that you will reiterate whatever she said on the book chapter, and it just helps you internalize the ideas even more. Main takeaway again is forming information chunks actually makes your life easier because you distill a large amount of information in a small chunk. Seventh book on the list is called Moonwalking with Einstein. I gave this a 4 out of 5 books. I like the writing style he has on how he takes you through his journey to become a memory athlete. But the reason I didn't give it a 5 is because some parts were just dragging at some point and I just lost interest. Actually, it took me quite some time to finish this book. So that's my only gripe with it. Main takeaway again is that people tend to remember images and locations far better. That's why mind palaces and mind locations work when you try to remember more stuff. Eighth book on the list is called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion. Gave it another 5 out of 5. Not gonna lie, it was a really hard read. All throughout, I had to really force myself to finish it. But in the end, I actually loved it, even though it was kind of a hard read. Main takeaway from this book is that people have the big tendency to try to become more consistent with their identities. So for example, if I told people that I am a studious person, I guess innately I will try to fit into that description that I gave myself. Ninth on the list is called Strengthening the Student Toolbox. Try saying that 5 times. I gave it a 5 out of 5, and although it's not really technically a book, it's kind of a really long article about studying. This is where I got most of my study habits from. I highly recommend everyone to read it. It is somewhat a summary of A Mind for Numbers and Make It Stick. It's just way more condensed than both of those books. Main takeaway again, highlighting and rereading your notes aren't the most effective study techniques, but they are the most common, so do what you wish with that information. Number 10th on the list is called Atomic Habits, another 5 out of 5 book. One of my all-time favorite books on this list so far. And in this book, I just love how he gives realistic examples out of each part of the habit loop. If you guys don't know yet, habit loop has 3 parts, a cue, routine, and the reward. And he gives certain examples in each part of those, which helps you understand what he's trying to say even more. I think that this book is very good if you pair it with The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, so try to read that if you have the time. 11th book on the list is called Show Your Work. I gave it another 5 out of 5. Jesus, how many 5s did I give? If you are a content creator like me, this is a really good book to read if you're looking for some inspiration. This is actually the book that I turned to when I burnt myself out when it comes to making videos. My main takeaway from this video, but in the context of my YouTube career, I guess, is you can't really control how people will react to your videos, but you can control the quality and the quantity of videos you make. So it's better to just focus on becoming better with the content you make and just try to not quit, because eventually success will follow down the line. And last book on the productivity list, the 12th book, is called How to Become a Straight A Student. Kind of a late book because I just graduated, but I still gave it a 5 out of 5. I love this book because it draws inspiration from real people's experience. Real successful students actually answer in this book. So basically the points the author tries to make are backed up with stories from top tier students across the US. A really good takeaway I have from this book is that work output is equal to the time and the intensity of focus that you do. Okay, now I think it's a good time to move on to the finance investing category. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books. Not a lot of 5 ratings in this category. I don't know why. So the first book on this list is called Investments Analysis and Portfolio Management. I gave it a 3 out of 5. This was actually the book I read for my equity investments analysis class. I talked about it in my core subjects video. This has a more academic, more theoretical tackle to investments and finance. And I think it's really geared towards a fundamental analysis of stock trading. So second book on this list is called The Intelligent Investor. I gave it a 4 out of 5 books. I read this because a lot of people recommended it online, but honestly, the book was okay. I mean, it did give me the idea of splitting the investments with stocks and bonds, and your safety net is basically bonds. But then other than that, not a lot on the learnings list. Third on the list is called One Up on Wall Street, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Another unpopular opinion again. This book was okay, but I don't get the hype behind it because, in my opinion, I think he tried too hard to talk about how he bought stocks and how he would have sold it. Honestly, I didn't enjoy it as much because of that part of the book. But my main takeaway, however, is that a good way to really evaluate a firm is through its earnings and its assets, because those are what drive cash into a firm. Fourth book on the list is actually Basic Economics, and I gave it a 4 books out of 5. I got this from a friend because she recommended it. She's an economics major. It's a pretty academic book, so it's good at explaining the theoretical ideas of economics. And my main takeaway is that the basic idea of scarcity, if you think that something has a really low supply, it will drive up the price or the value of that commodity. Fifth on the list is Trade Like a Stock Market Wizard. I gave it a 5 books out of 5. My guy, this book, I love it so much. I love the fact that he gives a lot of examples and a lot of figures, a lot of images, and he's very direct when it comes to the ideas that he presents. My main takeaway here is that planning your trades will make your life mega easier. So just plan everything in advance. Don't fall for the psychology stuff of stock trading. Just plan everything. Sixth book on the list, we have 3 left. It's called The Little Book of Valuation. I give it a 4 out of 5. It pretty much explains the same things as the first book that I covered, which is the investments analysis, blah, blah, blah. But it explains it in more simple terms. If you're not really adept with the finance world, this book is a good starter. Main takeaway from this book is that you should only pay for an asset when it's worth that price. Second to the last book is called Think and Trade Like a Champion, another 5 out of 5. This is the same author as the Trade Like a Stock Market Wizard. It pretty much talks about the things that Mark Minervini does not go in depth with in the first book. Main takeaway is that you should always think of a trade risk first so that you will know what you will possibly lose rather than focusing on what you can gain, because that makes you more optimistic rather than realistic. Last book, finally, let's go. It's called How to Make Money with YouTube. I give it a 3 out of 5. Book was pretty much outdated and kind of boring. Pretty okay though. Not really a must read in my opinion. Main takeaway is that viewers appreciate a really good story, or if you give value to them, then they will appreciate it a lot. Hopefully that reflects my videos. I hope that I give you guys a lot of value through my videos, so yeah. Okay, 20 videos so far. Hopefully I can read 20 more and then make another follow-up video with this. Hopefully you guys found this entertaining and insightful still. If you want the full book list I do have a Goodreads account. You can follow me there. I try to update it as much as I can. I will still leave it on the description and on a pinned comment somewhere. Question for the video: what's a book that you've read ever that you think is one of the best books ever? I am trying to expand my reading list, so please do try to comment it down below. Usual spiel, subscribe here. Next videos up there and down there as well. Again, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys in my next video. Peace. It's so freaking far when I do this.